This is INCRadio, DCEM 954, the voice of truth, the official radio station of the Church of Christ or Iglesia ni Cristo.
Welcome to INC Radio South Central State Satellite Studio. I'm your host for today, Brother Nathan Russell from Fort Worth, Texas. The weather is very cloudy right now, which is a little concerning because there is a solar eclipse that's going to be slated for tomorrow. But I'm joined by my panelist, who is also from Fort Worth. Can you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Buongiorno. Actually, it's buonasera. I'm Sister Arnie from Fort Worth, and I'm actually here in Texas today.
All right, if you could tell by her flawless Italian accent, we're going to be talking about Travelogue Italy. We're going to be talking about traveling to Italy and all the ins and outs that involve going to Italy and the things to see and enjoy. And of course, for our live chat, if you have any questions or comments you'd like to make about Italy, please feel free to drop them into the chat. We'd love to hear from everybody out there from our district and throughout the world. So we're going to start with our question of the day, and that is, have you had an opportunity to visit Italy? I'll start with you, Sister Arnie. Have you had an opportunity to visit Italy?
Actually, I have. Italy's one of my go-to places where if I can't decide where to go, oh, let's just go to Italy. So there's lots of different places to go. You can go to Rome, Naples, Florence, Cinque Terre, Amalfi Coast, Venice. So there's a lot of different places you can go in Italy. So that's just my go-to place if I can't find anywhere else to go.
Okay, so let's say I myself wanted to go to Italy. And what would I need to prepare in order to be able to go as an American citizen, that is?
As a US citizen, as of now, you only need a passport. For the longest time, you can go to Italy as long as you don't stay there more than 90 days. You can go without a visa. But starting in 2025, the European Union will be requiring the US to get a visa. So I highly suggest if you want to go anywhere in Europe, now is the time to go before we have to start applying for visas to go overseas.
Really, I wasn't aware of that. What is that process? What is a visa for those who don't know?
So it's going to be an electronic visa, and you just apply online. You let them know your purpose of your visit, and then you pay a fee. Once it gets approved, then it gets tied into your passport, and you can use it for about 5 years. And that way, you're free to travel in and out of the European Union.
Okay. So, well, with that in mind, let's say right now we're to go with just my passport. Would I be able to cross the borders into other European countries? Just curious.
Yes, as long as they're part of the Schengen states, and those are usually who's in the EU, then you can travel within all of those different countries without any other documentation. Now, if you're going to go to other countries outside of those Schengen states, then they may have other requirements.
All right. So, let's learn a little bit more about Italy. Kuya Tech, can you play the video that we have about that we have for Italy?
So with Italy, there's a lot of places to see. The Spanish Steps, the Colosseum, you have the Trevi Fountain. Those are one of the popular places to go visit. But then sometimes, you want to go off the beaten path, just go down any um, alleyways, different streets, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, pops up different fountains and different things that you can see. So exploring Italy by foot and public transportation is the way to go, and being able to see the different sites and different places. You can also go to different cities, like this one's in Florence. This one here is at the Amalfi Coast. And then this one here is at Cinque Terre. And so these are different parts of Italy that you can go to. And of course, everybody loves to go to Italy because of the food. You cannot go wrong with the food in Italy, whether you order seafoods, pastas, pizzas, desserts. You will always find something that you will like, and food is easily accessible in Italy. They're very they love their meals and they have multiple meals a day. And, I always go to Italy by myself, but every once in a while, I get lucky and I get to bring my nephew with me. And sometimes I travel with my friends. And, being able to see Italy it's one of, I think it's great because you get to see all the different things, the history, all the different architectural structures, and you wonder like, how do they build this all by hand when we have all this modern technology? And like I said, it's nice to see it by yourself, but then when you get a chance to actually spend it with your friends and you get to explore different things, it just makes it pretty cool. So this is gelato, which is their type of ice cream, very popular in Italy. And I had gelato 3 times a day for both breakfast, lunch, and dinner because you have to have it. And then Italy's also good for shopping. I brought my nephew there and he went crazy shopping because they have brands there that they don't carry in the US. And so, yeah. And those are my travel buddies.
Awesome. Yeah, so let's go ahead and drop into the live chat. Let's see who's tuning in with us. Let's see. We have our brother Jerry Hill who's tuning in from Biloxi. Thank you for
Mm.
joining us here today. Sister Dolly was greeting me earlier. She is from Thailand. Have you been to Thailand, by the way?
Not yet. That is on my list. I may be going there soon because my nephew's going to study abroad. So it'll give me a chance to go visit him over there.
Okay, because we have a sister Dahlia from Bangna, Thailand, and she is on almost every IC radio broadcast. So it'd be nice if one of us got to actually meet her. So maybe you'll get to meet her
I may
finally.
have to reach out to her when I go there.
And then we have our sister Florentina Taylor. She said she had visited Italy in 2019, so before the pandemic.
Mhm.
With that in mind, is there any pandemic restrictions currently for Italy?
No, they've lifted all the restrictions. It is now open. They lifted a lot of the restrictions in 2021, I believe. So now it's pretty much free to go. People still will wear masks every once in a while, but it's pretty open now.
Okay. And our sister Florentina, she's traveling on her way to Fort Smith, which I believe is in Arkansas
Arkansas,
or
yes.
Arkansas. Okay.
Hmm.
And then our sister Leah Hill, also greeting us from Biloxi, Mississippi. And our very own sister Jane from Fort Worth. She's also greeting us. She's also traveling. She said she loved Italy, specifically Luca. Did I say that right? Is it Lucha?
Yes, Luca. Yes.
Luca. She would love to go again, God willing. Well, what is Luca? Since she
So
brought it
Lucca
up.
is actually it's near Florence and Pisa. So it's another city or town over there. It's a small little town. Like I said, a lot of people go to that area because of the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
Okay, so I know Italy is like a boot, and Rome is
Yes.
kind of in the middle, isn't it? Of the
Yes.
boot. So where's this? Where's Pisa in relation to Rome?
So in relation to Rome, it's west, west of Rome, um, a little bit north, so northwest a little bit, but it's closer to the coast because Rome is more inland.
Okay, okay. Learning a
Mhm.
little bit of Italian geography here. But let's say I did visit, okay? I don't want to be culturally insensitive visiting a foreign country because as we should be well aware, like if you go to a foreign country, they do have different etiquette and different cultural considerations in Italy. So as like an American, maybe even as a Texan, because we have our own distinct culture. What are if we're going to travel there, how can we be very respectful of the culture?
So the first thing is now they've been accustomed a little bit to the Western world, and so they have learned to speak English. But when I had first gone to Italy, they only wanted to talk to people who would speak to them in Italian. So I had to learn at least the basic of Italian, and then once you they start talking to you and you're attempting the Italian, then they'll be friendly and even just try to help you out with English. They do have like a sense of family, and so they do a lot of like family time. And so if you go around August, you'll notice that a lot of the mom and pop shops are going to be closed. So the only thing that's going to be open are like your franchised locations, or different stores or restaurants that are known worldwide. But your mom and pop shops, they like to close for the whole month of August, because that's when they go on their summer break.
I've
And
heard that's actually pretty common, like in Europe. Like I think France does that for like a month. Like a lot of the people in France, they'll leave and they'll go
yes,
on vacation all at the same time. So you said
yes.
that was in August.
So usually that's in August, yes.
Okay. Uh,
And
yeah,
And
go
then
ahead.
for dining, they like enjoying the dining experience. So people there, it's all about socialization. So here, we get to a restaurant, we expect to be seated right away. We expect to order to get taken and served, and we're out. In Italy, it's not like that. They want you to enjoy your meal. They want you to enjoy the company of the people you're with. So once they seat you, they're not going to come to you right away and start taking your orders. They'll leave the menu and it'll take them a while. Once they come, they'll get your drink order, and then they'll take it, and then they'll deliver it to you. And then it's going to be a bit before they come back and take your food order. And if you notice the menus in Italy, they have different courses. It's not just an appetizer, your main course, and your dessert. So they have the antipasti, which is your appetizer, and usually those are shared by everybody. And then you have your primi, which is your first meal. So your first course is usually what has the pastas in it. And then you have the secondi, which is your second course, and that's where you get your meats and your seafoods and your proteins. And then after that, it's the dolce, which is your desserts. And so, like I said, it could be anything for a 2 hour period to enjoy that meal. And even when you're done eating, the waiter's not going to come to you and bring you your check. You will get your check when you ask for it. So if you want to sit there 2, 3, 4 hours, you can sit there all you want, enjoying your meal, and they will only bring it to you once you're done.
Oh, okay. So, what about like as far as like dinner time etiquette? Because I've seen like memes and videos of people like taking the pasta and cutting it up with scissors and whatnot.
Yes. So there's different things. Well, first of all, like I said, if you go to Italy, you have to have pizza, because with pizza, any topping you could think of, they have it. I was really shocked on one of my visits where they actually had hot dog and French fries as a topping for a pizza,
Was that
which I
called
just
the
thought was,
Americano?
I don't know what it was called. And whatever you do, don't ask for a pepperoni pizza, because technically for them pepperoni is bell peppers. So you're going to get a bell pepper pizza. They have like salami and other things. But if you're at a sit down restaurant and you're having pizza, it is etiquette to use a knife and a fork to eat your pizzas. The only time you're allowed to actually hold your pizza in your hand and eat it is if you get it at those vendors where it's like a walk-up counter, and they don't have a seating area, and that is the only time you should be eating your pizzas in your hand. And then for coffee, you never have coffee with a meal. Coffee is always after your meal. Okay. And after in the afternoon, you should never have cappuccino. So if you want to have cappuccino, that should be done in the morning, or before noontime, because anything after noon should just be like regular coffee. And there is no tipping in Italy. So whatever the price of your meal is, that's what it is. They don't take tips.
Okay, yeah, these are all good things to know. Um, yeah, and when you brought up the pizza, eating it with a fork and knife, I was like, that sounds like sacrilegious to some regions of the United States, the way they handle pizza. I'm looking at you,
No,
New York.
and no, and even the way they cut things. So you have normally you'll have the fork on your left hand, and then you'll use your right hand to cut it, and then you'll switch and use your right hand to pick up the fork. In Italy, it's not like that. In Italy, the fork is in your right hand, the knife is on your left hand, and that's how you cut it. And you don't switch utensils. You just eat it with your right hand, but you always cut with your left.
Right. I guess that's where the phrase "when in Rome" is very, very, very timely and useful. But
Yeah.
they aren't that picky though about food etiquette, are they?
Not really. I mean, people might look at you weird, but like I said, it's different from the first time I went to Italy, which was, oh gosh, I can't even remember, early 2000s, to what it is now. Because when I first went, I literally spent 2 weeks to learn how to say things in Italian, just so that, I would be welcomed there. And now everyone is starting to speak English because they're teaching that in schools now, not like before. And so, but it's so nice to learn the language and to be able to communicate with people, because when you try it, they have a big smile on their face, and they really welcome you, because they know at least you're trying to accept their culture.
All right, that's good to know. All right, so let's say I wanted to plan an itinerary to visit the different sites because Italy is, it's not a small place and it's very diverse.
Hmm.
There's several cities, and I imagine each one of the cities has its own unique identity. So,
Yes.
all right, so where would I first land if I were to try to go to Italy? Where would I be landing in?
So it all depends on what you really want to do. If you want to see most of the southern region of Italy, Rome would be your place to go, because from Rome, you could do day trips. You could do a day trip to Florence, you could do a day trip to Pisa, you could do a day trip to Naples if you wanted. So it's really easy. They have trains going to the different cities. But with Rome itself, I mean, there's so much to do there that you could probably spend a whole week there and still not see everything. But then, like I said, if you want to go to Florence, you can do a few days, because they have a lot of museums in Florence, and then they also have a lot of historic buildings you can see. Now, if you want to go to the northern part of Italy, Milan is probably where you would go. And then from there, you can head out towards Venice, towards Verona, which is my place where I want to go to next. The famed Shakespeare has a setting in Verona, so I want to go there. And then also from Naples, you're actually closer to the French border. So if you wanted to go into like the south of France, that would be your ways through Milan. And Milan is more of a shopping destination. So if you love to shop, if you love fashion, Milan is where you want to go.
Oh, I love fashion, as you could tell. It's my online online bought shirt. But okay, so what about history? If you're really big into like the ancient history, is that pretty much all in Rome?
No, if you actually go down to Pompeii, they have the ruins of Pompeii that you can go see. So there's a lot of history there. But yeah, most of it is in Rome, since that was like the capital of civilization at the time. And it's just, you'll just be at awe. Like, just take the Colosseum, for example. You see how humongous it is, and you wonder how in the heck did these people build this with their hands? Like, they didn't have machinery. And then also, if you have a chance to go to the Leaning Tower of Pisa and you actually climb the tower, you really do feel like you're leaning, as you're going up the spiral staircase. And the thing with that is, each of those steps, they're not the same height and they're not the same size. So, one step might be a tiny little step up, and then another one could be like a whole like 2 foot up. So it's just a marvel. And a lot of the stones that they use are like precious stones. They're not just rocks. So it's pretty cool.
So for like a Texan, everything we measure is like in hours when we travel. Like if I want to go to Austin, we're looking at like a 4 hour travel. Houston's 4 hours, so on and so forth. What about the travel times to these different cities in Italy, just to get a scale of how big it is or small it is?
Well, if you got to take a train, because driving might take a bit longer. So if you take the train, and if you do, they have like the express trains. So let's say you wanted to go from Rome to Florence, you can take an express train that may only have one or two stops, as opposed to the local train where it's going to stop like multiple stops that would take longer. So the trip to Florence, I wanted to say it took us 2 hours by train, if I'm not mistaken, if I recall correctly. But once you get to the train station, then they have public transportation to take you everywhere else. So, like I said, if you're going to hit the south of Italy, then Rome would be where you want to go, because I want to say the train ride from Rome to Venice, that one took a bit longer. Can't remember if it was like 4 hours, maybe five. I was sleeping the whole time, so I can't remember.
Okay, yeah, that's not too bad. It sounds like you could visit these sites. You could travel by train, especially if you left by morning, see everything you wanted to see, and then even if you wanted to, you could probably make it back to Rome if you wanted to. Did the trains run at night, by the way?
They do, yeah. When I
Okay.
brought my nephew, we actually did the day trip to Florence, which we left on the first train and then left on the last one, and that gave us enough time to go around the whole state of Florence, and of course, he went shopping like crazy. And then when I went with my girlfriends, we actually stayed, 2 nights in Florence just so that we could actually, um, you know, stroll around, look at different things, go to museums and things like that. So,
All
yeah.
right. We're going to close out with your favorite food recommendations. But before we get there, I want to drop back into the comments because there's quite a bit of them. So let me go find where I last was. We have our brother Joshua Reyes greeting us from South America. All right.
Wow.
Have you been to South America?
I have. I've been to, Lima, Peru.
Oh, right. You have to
Yeah.
visit our satellite down there and try to sneak onto their show. We also have our sister Regine. She's greeting you specifically, tuning in from Anaheim.
Hi, Regine.
We have Ernie. I want to, but I have no time to travel. Maybe someday. We have our sister Flo from Oregon. She's greeting us here in South Central States. Thank you for joining us. Let's see. Sister Regine says she loves your travel stories. Sister Jane is greeting Brother Josh from Brazil. Let's see. Sister Flo says one day she would like to go to Italy. We have our sister Leia from Dallas. She's greeting us also. Sister Regine says she's always wanted to visit Italy. Her husband used to live in Rome, so she definitely needs to visit Italy. We also have our brother Noel. Good morning, viewing from let's see, SFM Davao City Extension,
Wow.
Davao. So that's in
Philippines.
Mindanao. Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. Let's see. Sister Jane says she loved taking the train from Lucca. She went to Rome about 2 hours. So yeah, those travel times, those are more than reasonable to travel the
Mhm.
country. Let's see. Sister Flo says there's a place that has her name, Florence, Italy. So she has to go there.
She'll like Florence, I think.
All right, so let's get back to closing out this show. Food recommendations. Now, pizza. I've actually had one of those Italian style brick oven pizzas. It was like pistachio. But for you, what was your most favorite pizza you ever had when you were there?
Um, like I said, they just have so many different types of pizzas. You can't pick one. I do like the pizzas with all the different types of meats. So the one that had the bacon, their salami, and the different types of meat they had. The reason I love their pizza is because it's a very thin crust, and not all their pizzas have marinara sauce. Some of them will have an Alfredo sauce. Some will just have olive oil. So it just depends on the type of pizza you get. And if you get them from the restaurants or the delis where they sell it to you by the slice, it's not per slice, it's actually per weight. So you tell them how big of a slice you want, and then they weigh it, and then that's how they're going to determine how much your pizza is going to cost. But my go to, really, yeah, when I go to Italy, is pizza. But besides pizza, like I said, it's gelato. I have gelato every single day. I do not go a day without gelato, and I will have it before breakfast, lunch, and dinner to make sure I have room for gelato. So if you love gelato, like, Italy's got the best gelato ever. It's just, yeah.
I've heard of like squid ink gelato. Did you get to try that one?
No, no, I usually go, I've tried the different fruit flavors because the fruit ones are really good. And then of course I love hazelnut and chocolates. So I do that. But I do try different ones. My go-to usually is always going to be mango and hazelnut and lemon. But then, I'll get that as my favorite and then try something else.
So what was probably the strangest gelato flavor you saw?
Um, oh, I don't know if I could say it on air.
Okay.
But I did see one and I was just shocked when I saw it, but I don't know if that's something I could mention.
What about the second weirdest flavor?
Um, I don't know, because after that one, I just can't think of anything. It's just nice because they make different things. So, like, the different candy bars we have here in the States, they'll make those into gelato. And then of
Oh,
course the
excellent.
different candy. Yeah. So like the bar that has the peanuts in it, they make that into a gelato. So it's just like different things. And it's really nice. But for those who says they want to go to Italy and they don't have time yet, I highly suggest you go now while you're younger, because anywhere you go in Europe, you're going to be doing a lot of walking around. And so it's harder as you're older. So, if you can find time to actually go visit different places, it just it's just a whole another world out there outside of the US, and to be able to see those different places, it's just awesome.
I guess it's a little too late for me. I'm breaking down.
You're not old.
We'll go ahead and close with that though. And we'd like to, oh, can you give us a final shout out? You have one.
Yes, so I just want to give a shout out to my friends Leia and Digna. Those are my two travel buddies that I travel Europe with, and my nephew Riley, because he's been my travel buddy. So
Excellent. So we'd also like to thank our district CFO overseer, Brother Christian Agron, our assistant district minister, Brother Gilbert Anachete, our district minister, Brother Andre B. Silva, our executive producer, Brother Emmanuel Andaya, our station manager, Brother Arnel Solano, our CFO coordinator and SEBC president, Brother Angelo Arano Vimanalo, and of course, our executive minister, Brother Eduardo Vimanalo. So be sure to tune into INC Radio South Central State's next Saturday at the same time, 2 p.m. Central Daylight Time. And stay tuned for INC Radio Latin America coming up next. Ciao. Is that the right word? Ciao.
you could say ciao or arrivederci. Arrivederci.